Good morning. Good morning. We're going to start in just 1 minute. Thank you so much for joining us today. Good morning. You're going to be excited about today's show. It's a little fun today in here, so can't wait to get started. You see them logging on. Thank you for joining us. Can you believe it's May already?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I know the year is almost going by. So let me get started. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Downtown Download. I'm Downtown Partnership President Shalonda Stokes, and joined as always by Baltimore Councilman Eric Costello. That's my partner in, I don't want to say crime, but in just about everything in here. You know, downtown has the largest cluster of cultural institutions in Greater Baltimore, from our art museums and attractions like the National Aquarium to corner galleries and pubs that have live music on the weekends. And you know, we're here to talk about all of this today. We have the lion's share of performance stages, and whether they're in permanent venues like the Royal Farms Arena or temporary setups for festivals like Artscape or First Thursday Concert, it's here. So normally ringing in with the loud sound and emotion, there are many things that have been, held in person, have not been held in person since the pandemic, but that's starting to change. And so we want to talk a little bit about that today. With COVID rates starting to drop and restrictions easing up, many venues have announced reopening plans. We know it's a hybrid, and so that's some of what we want to talk about today. So before we get to that, please allow me to talk a little bit about what we have going on at Downtown Partnership. You know, we've been busy ushering in spring. You know, our clean team is scouring neighborhoods block by block. We're sweeping up trash, we're planting, we're seeding, weeding, doing all of that to get ready for the growing season. And our Downtown Baltimore guys are out in full force. So hopefully you see them in their yellow, welcoming people back downtown and keeping our streets safe. Last Thursday, we did kick off our weekly outdoor events with an exercise class we had in Center Plaza. Hopefully you made it out. If you did not, please come out. It's a DJ, it's fun. It is the Zumba of all Zumbas that's there. We also have yoga that's in there. And we also did last week the Pratt Street Farmers Market. And so that happens every Thursday at lunchtime at Pratt and Charles Street. So please, we look forward to seeing you there. And we also announced, this is what's great, the Charles Street Promenade that's taking place on May 22nd. And this is for the second time that we did this. This is where we close Charles Street from Saratoga all the way up to North Avenue, close it to cars and traffic. You'll be able to shop, dine, stroll along Baltimore's most scenic thoroughfare. So I look forward to seeing you there. The list of participating restaurants and retailers we know is growing daily. So please go to charlesstreetpromenade.com for all of that information. I'm almost done. I'm wrapping up. It's just some exciting stuff. You know, we did the same thing last October and people loved it so much. We knew we had to bring it back. This event, you know, really takes place. I want to shout out Mayor Scott and the city, all of the city services team, the Central Baltimore Partnership, Charles Street Development, Guppy Management, Midtown Community Benefits District, the Mount Vernon Belvedere Association, and the Mount Vernon Place Conservancy. They are all partners in our promenade, and you will see and feel when you come out the partnership and the breadth of what we want to do. We had businesses last year who told us outside of Artscape, this was really where they made their most revenue since the pandemic. So we are excited to bring it back. Councilman, that's all I have in the beginning. Do you have some updates you want to bring us from the city side?
Thanks, Shalonda. Great to be with everyone this morning. Nothing really big on the city side. We're getting ready to start the budget process for the city council. So we're going to have city council taxpayers night on Thursday, May 27th at 5 p.m. So you can get more information on that on the Baltimore City Council website. We hope that folks will show up and share your concerns, your questions, your ideas for our budget for this upcoming year. With that, I'm just really excited about today's show. Shalonda, back to you.
Okay, we're going to do it back. You know, putting this panel together was tough because there are so many great entities to choose from. You know, for example, just a few blocks from our office, you know, we have Everyman Theater, the Chesapeake Shakespeare, and every day I look out on the Royal Farms Arena. And so But what we put together here is a mix, and you'll see this as we get through the show. Here's just some of the performance venues that you'll see in the heart of downtown. We'll post this on our social media channels, and I encourage everyone to please follow, subscribe, share, and support what all of our venues have going on. These are the places that make not just our city, but our region so special. We know that some of them have been totally in the dark since COVID-19. Others have pivoted with an amazing mix of virtual events. Everyman Theater in the Bromo Arts and Entertainment District, for example, has a true crime documentary podcast on WYPR and offers in-person and virtual subscription packages. They also have their spring soiree coming up on May 22nd as well. This is a free virtual fundraiser with unique raffle items, sneak peeks, and all of that. So please tune in. Talking about what we have today, we have three amazing people representing different entertainment experiences, and all of them have been through similar pivots, right? So Donna Drew Sawyer, she's the CEO of the Baltimore Office of Promotion and the Arts, the team behind big outdoor events like the Baltimore Farmers Market, Artscape, and some of the others. We know that they had to cancel that this year, but Donna is going to talk about a lot of what they have going on there. Ron Legler, the president of the Hippodrome Theater at the France Merritt Performing Arts Center, which is the Mid-Atlantic's home to traveling Broadway production. So I know, Ron, we had you, can't wait to hear some of the things that you have going on. And then combining both indoor and outdoor events, we're also joined by Sal DiGiorgio, who runs Power Plant Live for the Cordish Companies. And if you haven't been, PPL is the home to several restaurants, an outdoor performance area, and Rams Head Live. It's a premier location for live events. So we wanted to bring you a mix of all of those different genres. So Ron, Donna, and Sal, thank you for taking the time with us. Councilman, I know you have the questions for them, and so I'll turn it over to you. I will ask our guests to please put your questions in the Q&A box, and after Councilman Costello finishes asking the tough questions, because I want you to give them the tough ones today, then I ask our audience to please, put those in, and we'll come back and ask them the questions that we have from you. So Councilman, I'm turning it over to you.
Thanks, Shalonda. Yeah, it was incredibly difficult for us to put this episode together because, frankly, in downtown, we have riches when it comes to performing arts venues. We just have some incredible institutions that provide amazing entertainment options for families throughout the region. So I want to start off with Donna in BOPA. BOPA has successfully operated the Baltimore Farmers Market under the JFX last year, and it's back this year. I think a lot of people are grateful for that. This is the largest outdoor market in the region. For anyone who hasn't been, what can we expect? What type of COVID protocols are in place for this season?
Well, this is the 44th year, believe it or not, of the Baltimore Farmers Market. So we are so thrilled to be able to come back this year. A little bit stronger offerings than we were able last year. We had protocols in place. We didn't know what we were dealing with last year. It was a little different than this year. We kind of know what we're dealing with COVID. We're up to speed. We have hand washing stations, hand sanitizing stations. All of our vendors are able to do touchless transactions. We are limiting the number of vendors in the market in order to be able to accommodate more people in the market. We brought back hot food. That was a big thing we could not do last year. And the crowds have been remarkable this year. And everybody's staying safe. Masks are required. And if you don't bring your own, we can provide one for you. So it is a safe environment. I am so proud of the people in our city that come to the market, follow the protocols to keep everybody safe. So there's no danger, I should say there's no fear of going to the market this year. And I hope everybody will come down. We are, as Eric said, we are the largest farmers market, but we are also a producer-only farmers market, which means if you don't make it or you don't grow it, it doesn't get sold at the farmers market. So you're guaranteed not only quantity, but quality. And it is a marvelous place to be on a Sunday morning.
And shout out to my friend and constituent Kiefer Mitchell, who I know is going to be down there making some orange juice. So I'm looking forward to swinging by.
Yeah, one of the popular things to drink when you get to the farmers market. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. So Donna, Shalonda alluded to the news, but as everyone knows, BOPA produces Artscape. It's one of the largest festivals in the country. And my understanding is it's the largest free arts festival in North America, if I'm not mistaken. It's an epic undertaking that requires fundraising, planning well in advance. It's really a year-round effort for your team
Absolutely.
at BOPA. You guys just announced the cancellation of the festival this year. I can't imagine how difficult of a decision that was. Can you walk us through the decision-making process?
Well, it literally takes a year or more, depending on what's going on in the country, to mount a regular Artscape. An Artscape under the constraints of a health crisis is an immeasurable lift. So we started really at the beginning March of last year, when we knew we could not do a regular Artscape, trying to consider how we could do it in 2020. We pivoted to a virtual environment, and while we had some success with that, it's not the same environment as being there. Artscape is a physical thing. And when I say that, I also mean what it takes to mount that effort. It takes people, it takes planning, it takes the city's participation, it takes all of the artists travel to come to show at Artscape. It is literally building a city with everything but the ground. You know, we know where we're going to be physically, but everything from sanitation to transportation to security to entertainment to food, all of that has to come together in one space, all at the same time. It's like, you know, if you've ever cooked a dinner, you try to get everything to come out at the same time. That's what Artscape is, with all of those elements. So as we worked through this pandemic and watched what was going on, the question is, can we do this so that it's not only safe for the people that come to Artscape, but is it safe for our staff? Is it safe for the city? The last thing we wanted to be was a super spreader. We consulted with the mayor's office, we consulted with the health commissioner, and the bottom line was, we can't do it safely. Not for any of those constituents, not for the artists, not for the attendees, and not for the staff. So the idea now is to come back really strong in 22. And it also gave us a chance to step back and take a look at what was working, what could work better, and is there anything new we could integrate into Artscape? So I think you'll see all the things you love about Artscape in 22 and then some.
Awesome. Well, I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to it. It's one of my favorite events, and the team at BOPA just does an incredible job with it.
Thank you.
Let's jump over to Ron. So Ron, you guys are operating a Broadway theater where everything happens indoors. The theater has announced the return of shows this fall. And I know your team at the Hippodrome has been planning and even practicing for how that will go. What has that experience been like? And what can our audience members expect when the marquee lights up again?
Well, you know, we're really excited. As everyone knows, last week they announced that Broadway was going to return to New York City starting in September. It will be a very slow opening. You'll see maybe a few shows a week that will start to open. We've been working together as an industry. And I think one of the big things that came out of this pandemic is that we can't do this alone. We really need all of the resources from the knowledge from everyone else. And we are part of the Broadway Across America network. So we have 46 different markets around the United States, Canada, and Mexico City. So we have been working with our partners. We hired an engineer, his name is Joe Allen, he's from Harvard, to talk about safe buildings and how we can, what's the best way we can keep people safe when they're in our building. Broadway's model, unfortunately, is not a socially distant model. We need everyone to be together. You know, those shared experiences are just some of the most important that you can ever have. And I loved seeing Hamilton, you know, on the big screen, but there's nothing like Hamilton in a live audience. So we're taking every precaution we can, Councilman. We're working on with a company called Life Air that actually started in the hospital industry for in vitro to keep the air as clean as we possibly can. They're working right now with the CDC and with other guidelines. So it's about a $350,000 system that we're going to take. But as we went through the pandemic from the very beginning, it's just all been about like listening and trying to find, like in the beginning, they were talking about cleaning. So everyone bought all those packs to go around and spray everything all over the place. Now they're saying that that wasn't really necessarily the case. So we're just trying to learn and make the best decisions, but it changes every day. But we're definitely looking at all the touchless environments like Donna talked about, sanitation stations, of course. We will be asking everyone to wear a mask. Our partners in Omaha never really closed down, and they've been opened through this whole pandemic. So we're learning from them how they handled people who took their mask off in the middle of the show, who determined they didn't want to wear a mask. These are all the things that we're going to have to talk about. So there's going to be a lot of training with all of our ushers. You know, we have an army of 650 volunteer ushers that help us run the Hippodrome. We couldn't do it without. So there's going to be a lot of training leading up to that November date. And we're working with Live Nation and AEG and some of our other presenting partners to bring some smaller shows in. We announced Fortune Feinster's coming in October. I've got a very secret thing that's happening, but Boys to Men hopefully is coming, which I can't wait. I'm so excited. It's not even on sale yet or announced. So everyone here got to hear that first from me. Really looking forward to that. So we're going to do a few things that hopefully we can learn from. The first show on the road will be Wicked, which was the last show to play the Hippodrome. And that's going to open in Dallas. So we're going to keep very tight communications with our partner in Dallas to make sure that anything they're doing right, we can be a part of, and anything that they could wish they could do differently, we'll have the chance to do that. So, but it is ongoing. You know, we don't have all the information. We're definitely following science, and we're listening to some of the best experts in the world, and we'll continue to do that.
Thanks, Ron. Shalonda, I'm very confident walking out of today's episode of Downtown Download that I can confidently say Motown Philly is back again.
No, I know I may have to give a dance move or something. All right.
I'll leave that to my spectacular co-host. I'm not the one that dances on this show. Let's jump over to Sal and Power Plant Live. So Power Plant Live combines indoor and outdoor event spaces. You have restaurants, live events on the plaza, dining patios, and the Rams Head Live concert venue, which has been dark. Can you tell us when Rams Head Live will start hosting live shows, and talk about what the status of your other operators are? And
certainly. Good morning, everyone. We've been informed by Rams Head that they want, just like everybody else, to practice operations safely and get to 100% before they reopen. So tentatively, they're looking similar to most at a September reopening. Again, it'll even though we will be allowed 100%, they'll limit it. So that we're looking at September for that, as well as one of our tenants, Tin Roof. They want to meet that 100% threshold. But presently, we have some of our tenants and our venues open. During the pandemic, we were proud to say we were able to open up one of the city's best new pizza places, Underground Pizza Company. They're a great story. The gentleman started making pizzas out of his kitchen, then what started going to local restaurants and doing ghost kitchens, pop-ups around the area, and then in December, he made a home at Power Plant Live. So we're very proud and happy to have Underground Pizza Company. Lucky's Beer Garden opened up on opening day, the Orioles opening day, and has been operating ever since. Charm City Clue is open on the weekends, and we're very proud that they've been able to negotiate and maneuver through the challenges of the pandemic. May 20th, we're proud to say that PBR, one of our first true club venues, is going to open, socially distant, all the protocols being followed, and that's going to be May 20th. But what we're really proud of is our first Hot Country Night on our alley stage, and that's going to be June 1st. Again, socially distant, and we're polishing everything up and getting ready to invite a bigger crowd. Hopefully, even though we're covered, weather permitting, June 1st, we'll start to feel like normal again.
So Sal, I have to tell you, the flag pizza at Underground Pizza Company is incredible.
Yeah,
It's essentially a replica of the Italian flag. So 1/3 of it is marinara sauce on top, 1/3 of it is plain, and 1/3 of it is pesto.
yes.
I was a bit skeptical at first when I tried Detroit style pizza, but was completely blown away, and have been a loyal follower.
Oh, good.
Ever since.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, we're very happy to have these boys.
Sal, so tell us a little bit more about what you're seeing in terms of folks returning just for dining options. Are you starting to see crowds increase?
Yes. We've been blessed with beautiful weather for the most part this spring, and has caused people to come out. I mean, even last weekend with the limited crowd at Camden Yards, we saw a great number of Boston fans, not just at Power Plant Live, but on the Power Plant side as well, dining at Hard Rock, dining at Phillips, and just basically, casually strolling on the promenade. So it's good to see that sort of activity return.
So I've got a question for the entire group, and I think this is a bit of a challenging question, but we heard Live Nation and AAG referenced before. They're essentially massive international concert producers, for those folks who may not be familiar. And both have said that they won't resume indoor concerts until they can operate close to full capacity. You all operate on a similar business model where a lot of what you do depends on high density crowds. Is that model sustainable moving forward?
If you don't mind, I'll start with that one. Yes, the answer I think is absolutely yes. As we continue to see vaccinations rise and hospitalizations go down, as we continue to learn more about the virus, I feel like where we're heading in this fall will be a different place than we've been for a very long time. So I feel like as long as we continue to mask up, obviously there's a political part of what's going on in this pandemic, which is really unfortunate. But we continue to follow the science, and we know that if we can get these numbers down to safe places, if we can continue to encourage people to get vaccinated, and I hope that we use every asset that Baltimore has with the Ravens and the Orioles and everybody else to just really try to get, the more people get vaccinated, the better off we are, and the safer our buildings will be. But I think we have to we will become the new normal. It will start to be there. And from everything that we're learning from Joe Allen and other professionals is that by the fall, we'll be living our new normal at that point, and things will start to change. So, obviously, I don't think if we thought we could, if we wouldn't be able to do that, you wouldn't see New York opening, you wouldn't see Broadway opening, and you wouldn't see some of the things that are being announced at this point. Both Live Nation and AEG have announced concerts for the fall. And like I said, we're really looking forward to it. I think the important thing is, we had that really great news that they're going to tear down that big space downtown and have that lot. I really think we should start thinking about some infrastructure that would allow us to do some outdoor events. Whenever we have casts come in from Broadway, they love to do different things like that. But if we could create a sort of outdoor event that would be our own living room outside, I think we have to think about those outdoor things. And with soundstage right there and with live right there, I think it'd be a great opportunity to create some new environments and some new places that our community could gather.
I'll jump in. I think that innovation is key to bringing us back to what Ron alluded to as the new normal. While density has been a major part of what BOPA has done. I mean, we've had 40,000 people in one place at one time, all enjoying ourselves. But I think the farmers market has been kind of like our canary in the coal mine. Let's see how we do with, bringing people together. And I have to say, the canary is still chirping and it's doing really well. So maybe we can do smaller events throughout the city until we can get back to one major event in the city. This is the thing about Baltimore is it's a city of neighborhoods. And to bring people downtown, that's a neighborhood. Bromo District, that's another neighborhood. Harbor East, another neighborhood. We can do different events, smaller, but with the same kind of joy and intensity that we did with Light City and all of those others, and some of the same elements of those particular events. So I think the way we're going to step back into it, as I said, we're going to continue to run the farmers market. We are going to do free fall this year, and that's in October. And that is a month-long celebration of the arts. And we're going to do it all over the city. So all of the partners, some of them that you saw in the early graphic, the places downtown, they'll be a part of free fall. Different community groups will do things in free fall. And BOPA will, everything won't be something we do. It'll be a collaboration of something everybody does, and give us all an opportunity to test how we're feeling being next to each other again, and ramp up to going back to the Hippodrome and going to Power Plant Live. One of the things we miss the most about Power Plant Live is that we didn't get to do Sound Off Live, which is where we find new talent for the festivals that we do. So we're looking forward to taking, I'm not going to say baby steps, intermediate steps back into the new normal, so that by this time next year, we'll be wondering what we were talking about. We'll just be back to being us.
Well, I can't wait until we get to the point where we were wondering what we were talking about with this COVID thing.
It'll come.
Donna, yeah, and it's incredibly exciting, free fall in the late fall in October. Really excited about that. And just thinking about that, Donna, BOPA has started to kind of refocus away from a large number of events to really focusing on its mission with respect to the arts. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that transition for BOPA?
I don't consider it a transition. I think it's a better integration is really what it is. BOPA has always been involved with the arts. The festivals have been so big and so overwhelming that, the arts kind of were integrated, but nobody really understood how. And I think the pandemic has given us an opportunity to kind of step back, dim the lights a little bit at the festivals and say, these are the things that made the festivals great. The artwork, the talent, the city as a backdrop, all of those things made it great. So we got to look at the individual elements and not just the shine of the festivals. And the art, as I said, is the focus. It always has been. I think the way I like to think about it is that we have to integrate the individual artists into everything we do. They are part of our workforce. They are the Stephanie Ibarra from Center Stage referred to them as art workers. which I absolutely love that because they are an economic force in our city. And we at BOPA want to make that force shine. So it's really not a transition, it's more of an integration. And you'll continue to see the things you love about BOPA, but you'll see them amplified through the individuals that make it possible. So that's the difference, I think.
Thanks, Don. And Sal, I wanted to jump back to you. I apologize, didn't give you an opportunity to answer that last question around, operating on a similar business model where a lot of folks depend on high density crowds. Can you talk about that a little bit from Power Plant Live's perspective and if that's sustainable?
We do have a unique advantage in that we have a large outdoor venue that is covered, and we will utilize it the best we can. To piggyback on what the rest of the team has been saying, we're going to have to make lemonade out of lemons. It's sustainable but different. I think is the best way to say it. I mean, we have other venues nationally in Arlington, in Atlanta, and we're obviously not to the same levels as before, but we have been able to be successful in implementing the new normal. And most of our venues that I'm referring to are adjacent to major league ballparks. And we have been able to, again, they're different markets, they're different states, they're different jurisdictions, but we have been successful in integrating the new way of life.
That's a great transition into my next question for you, Sal. You guys obviously have venues in other markets, especially as you mentioned, some of those that are in close proximity to other major league stadiums. What have been some of the lessons learned that you've been able to take from what you've done in other cities and bring those back home to Baltimore?
That one of the things that we learned, actually, our biggest lesson was probably was here in the fact that we opened up in the spring, in June, and we're open for several months only to have it shut down again due to changing circumstances. I think one of the lessons we learned is that had we known that we were going to face this potential shutdown, we may not have opened the first time. That was a hard lesson to learn, and that happened to some of our other venues in Philadelphia. And that's probably our biggest takeaway, that and hopefully it never happens again, we'll probably remain closed, similar to what Rams Head is doing until it looks like it's clear sailing ahead. We probably wouldn't do that only to have it shut down
again. Got it. That's helpful. And Ron, jumping back to you and Hippodrome, we know that Baltimore is one of the first places Broadway shows want to book when they start touring. Talk to us a little bit about what makes us such a strong theater town.
I got the best story, and I think, we're always looking for the bright spots of this last year, but we just reached a goal of 12,000 season ticket holders, which is incredible for a 1 week Broadway market. So if you think we can fit about 18,000 people a week, we already have 12,000 already in the seats, which is really incredible. So during the pandemic, what our philosophy was honesty, transparency, letting people know that their money was safe. During the transition of the Morris mechanic to the lyric, there was a presenter that came in, did a Broadway series, and then took everybody's money and didn't offer any shows. It was a really bad situation. So we know that was out there. We wanted to make sure people felt safe and comfortable, that we were a reliable company, that we were being good stewards of not only the Hippodrome, but of the series itself. We were able to save all the shows that we had announced It was like we were lifting up the shows and moving them down the street, but we saved everything but To Kill a Mockingbird, and we've already booked To Kill a Mockingbird for the next season. So we were really happy. But above that, we only had 1% of our subscribers leave our series. Now think about that. On a normal year, we have maybe 12 to 15% leave for any given reason. 1%. That means that Baltimore like basically tripled down on the Hippodrome and Broadway and said, we'll be waiting for you when you return, and we'd like to have our same seats, please. It's incredible. I mean, we have markets that lost 50% of their audience, 50% of the people that were coming to the Broadway series. And to lose 1%. And I have to tell you, we created this Facebook page for our season ticket holders specifically. And the overwhelming amount of support that's come from this community is really been one of the things that has been such a glue for me, that I know that if they're ready and we're ready, when we do open, it's going to be as successful in the past. And, you know, we're so close to, we could take a train ride and get to Broadway in an afternoon, but people would rather see Broadway in their own backyard. The Hippodrome is so loved for, you know, almost 110 years, the generations of people from movie theaters to vaudeville to, you know, everything that the Hippodrome has been. And there's a love for that building. And it's been shown more this last year than I ever knew was possible. So, and not only that, but the state, you know, I know that before there was even the shuttered venue program and Save Our Stages started, the state of Maryland decided to open the rainy day fund to a lot of the cultural institutions. And I tell you, it was a lifesaver. We have been cash bleeding at the Hippodrome for 14 months, cost about $50,000 a month to operate the building, even without a soul in it. So it's just been a really great thing to see. All of our arts organizations have come together. We created a new organization called the Maryland Entertainment Industry Association, which gives us one voice when we go to the city or we go to the state. And we're leaving no one behind. Everyone's always welcome to join, from the smallest of groups to the largest amphitheaters and arenas. So it's been great. It's been great helping Everyman and Center Stage get the mask thing lifted for their performers, knowing how with the rigorous protocols they go through to try to put anything on stage, even if it's videoed at this point. They are just being so responsible. So it's been great to learn. And, you know, I always think the water rises together, everyone goes up, but when it goes down, we all go down together as well. So helping lift other organizations out of this is part of our responsibility as a community, but it really has brought us together so much stronger than we were in the past. And I just hope that kind of spirit continues when we move forward.
Thanks, Ron. Shalonda, I know we got a ton of great questions coming in from our audience. I've got one more question for our panel that I'll pose for everyone, then I want to turn it back over to Shalonda. Are there any changes that you all see, any pivots that you've made as a result of COVID-19 that you think are going to stay with your venues or organizations post-pandemic? Let's start with Donna.
I think for the foreseeable future, we are, you know, the keeping people safe is more prominent than ever. I don't think that there was security at our events, but I don't think we really thought about the, you know, touching things and being close to each other. And those, I think we're all going to reel from that for a while. But the one thing I want to say about the arts, especially in Baltimore, the arts are so resilient. What Ron was talking about, I said to him before we came on, this is the first year I've never been to seen a performance on a stage. And I think that resilience will show not only in the determination of an audience to partake in art, but also for artists to make art of all kinds. So if anything, I think we know that perseverance is part of our culture, not just here in Baltimore, but in the arts altogether. And seeing that, I think changes us a little bit, because we're not going to take no for an answer. Yeah, we're going to do things the way we want to do them, or we'll find a way to do them. So I think that's what this whole, the last year and a half has taught us, that resilience and determination.
Sal?
Oh, you know, to follow the creativity uh, and resilience and getting things done that you didn't think were possible is what I've taken out of this. You know, some huge and Herculean efforts from folks who had to step up. Um, I saw a lot of people grow, and uh, and you know, people would fill in and lend a hand where it, you know, prior to they may not have, but I think it forced people to look inside and be grateful for what they have and give back. I think that's what I saw come from this, and hopefully that transcends into future endeavors.
And back to you, Ron.
You know, for us, it's been like really accepting the digital world and making it part of our future. So we have developed an app for the Hippodrome that will basically create a wallet for your tickets. Everything is safe. You don't have to touch anything. You can order a drink from the app and have it waiting for you when you get there. It's just really more of a way that we can communicate. If there's a problem, something's happening downtown, if traffic's rough, we can send you a quick message to say, we're holding the show for 15 minutes. Don't rush, everything's fine. Like just the communication and transparency, I think is a big thing, is going to be part of our future. So I do think the roaring 20s are coming. You know, after the last pandemic, there was this lull period of a few years, and then the roaring 20s came on. I think there's a hunger for culture. I think there's a hunger for the arts that is growing. We're seeing it with the number of ticket sales throughout the country. The Hippodrome's its third largest subscription base in its history as a one-week market. So people are ready. They're going to be ready, and we want to be ready for them. And really, we're an experience-driven industry. So we want that experience to be great. We know in the beginning it's going to be a rough start, because just like restaurants, like I'm still not totally comfortable going into a restaurant, even though I've been double vaccinated. It's just a feeling that you have, and it's going to be a slow start. But I think once we start that engine rolling and get it going again, that will become less and less. But we have to begin. We have to start.
Yes.
And you know, working with the city's health department and the state's health department, and trying to keep in constant communication so we can relay what we're trying to do and hopefully fit into what the city's going to do. You know, we always say in our industry, it's a three-legged stool. You have equity, you have the production, and you have the government, the city. All those people have to say, we're going to go forward. If one of them doesn't, then we drop off. So it's really important. You know, it's the average Broadway show costs about $15 million to produce and get on the road. So they're just getting ready in New York to build all these national tours again, to go back out. If we say we're on board and then we drop out because the city goes through an increase, we now, all those people don't have a place. All those hotels are now empty. All those restaurants are, so it's like a domino effect. So it's really, the producers are counting on us to say, when we say, yes, you're going to come, that we can actually get the doors open and get the show on the stage. So it's a lot of pieces of the puzzle we're trying to put together, so we can do it responsibly and obviously as safe as we can. But our industry has got to restart. And the governor said at Broadway, New York isn't New York without Broadway. And we're hoping that we can just get on top of that and say the same thing about Baltimore. So we're really looking forward to our return.
Thanks, Ron. Please make sure you send me a link to download that app. Shalonda, over to you.
Thank you. I need the app link as well. I think, and Councilman, you didn't ask me this question, but when you talk about the future and one of the things that we want to make sure we're taking over, one of the best things I think that came out of the pandemic was more communication and more collaboration in ways that we had not before. And I really look forward to us continuing that and welcoming people back downtown. You know, I sit here in the office. I want people back in their offices. I want them back, you know, in the theaters and restaurants and all of those things. And so we know it starts with vaccinations and us doing the right thing. So thank you all for that. I'm gonna jump, we have quite a few questions. I'm gonna jump to some of the ones that I think are a little quick and easy to answer in there. Sal, coming to you first. The question is, how should local festivals artists go about booking Ram's Head or the Power Plant as a venue? And the other part is it open for private events yet? So they kind of go together.
Yeah, the answer is yes. And the websites for Power Plant Live and for Ram's Head would probably be the best places to start. Contact the folks on those sites, and that'll initiate the process.
Okay, which is perfect. And you didn't say it, they say in here, but are masks required for your venues?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. On there, I'm going to come over to you, Donna from BOPA. It said, did BOPA consider holding Artscape later in the year rather than canceling it entirely? Will you have any virtual events this year?
We did consider pushing it, but then we have another major event doing Art and Humanities Month, which is October. So one would have overrun the other. And as much as, I mean, my staff is amazing, but the thing they can't do is clone themselves. So we could not get two major events going at exactly the same time. So we thought it best, and you know, things change where once you put Artscape in motion, it is tough to rejigger it so that it fits someplace else. So we thought it best to go forward with Free Fall. We're still giving people a little bit of that Artscape experience down at the farmers market. So if you need to get your Artscape on, go down to the farmers market on Sunday morning and eat and, you know, commune with the rest of the city. But we will be back in full force on in 2022. Maybe we'll kick off the Roaring 20s with Artscape.
I like it. I do like the kickoff in there. Another question just for you in the area of, do you know if you guys are planning or when you'll start to plan if there'll be any fireworks at the harbor or anything like that?
We have been in close communication with the city, and unfortunately there will not be July 4th fireworks, but we are hoping that by New Year's, we will have fireworks that will welcome in the new year and a new attitude about getting together as a community. So I regret that the city has decided not to risk us all by having fireworks July 4th, but going forward, we are planning for New Year's, and you know, we'll figure out a way to bring that excitement back.
That's wonderful. Ron, you didn't get a hard question. You actually got a compliment in one of yours from one of your board members that said they can really say that what you and Broadway across America have done, that you guys have done a phenomenal job over this past year or so, making sure there was complete honesty and transparency with respect to the Hippodrome Theater. So that came from Michelle Welly. Shout out to Michelle. I think we share a board member. And
Yes.
Michelle, so thank you for that. A couple other things coming back, because I know there's quite a few. I just want to make sure I hit some of the harder ones. Kudos for the Charles Street Promenade. So thank you on that one too. A note just saying that maybe we should try to close that down and maybe have it 2 or 3 times a year. Part of what we want to make clear with that, that's not designated as an event when we close down Charles Street. It's an extension of our slow streets and all of that. So it's already the restaurants and retailers who have minor privilege permits can then, you know, outdoor dining, but it's a place that we can walk and dine and support all together. So to bring that back would be a great thing, that frequent. So we just need to continue to partner with the mayor's office on that. We did have a question, Donna, and just for clarification, when you talked about the building getting torn down. I know that was on there. People were like, "It's an Old Town Mall or what was it?" For clarification, she was talking about the Baltimore City Community College building, the Bard building that's over in Market Center. And that building, we announced it on one of our previous downtown downloads, but that's coming down. The great thing is that now we're going to do some charrettes and partnering with the school and figure out how that green space or whatever that space will be. And so, Ron, I know I heard your plug for some outdoor amphitheater type space. We have some calls in for dog parks. I think the good thing is this will be to continue on what we're talking about: communication, community collaboration, and all of that. So we want to make sure that we continue with those types of things in there. Councilman, I have one for you, and this is about the city's process. And it said the city provided an expedited process for allowing restaurants to create outdoor space. This should be a standing operating procedure, not an exception. Will these restaurants be allowed to continue this as restrictions for indoor gatherings continue to ease? This is such a positive for our city, not just downtown, but throughout.
Thanks for the question, Shalonda. Couldn't agree more. Shalonda and I had worked on rolling this program out last summer. We've been in discussions with Mayor Scott's senior team, and we hope to have an update on that very, very soon. But the mayor's office has been receptive to the feedback that we've provided, which across the board has been positive, just like that. So thank you for the question, Michelle.
Perfect, thank you. Donna, we have a question that talks about the location of your market. They were asking if the markets we were talking about were connected. We're connected as a sisterhood, but not as formal. Can you talk about the location of
the market? The Baltimore Farmers Market is located at Holiday and Saratoga Streets under the JFX, which makes it a rain or shine market. So if it's the weather's inclement, you're still undercover. The other thing about the market is the reason we were able to open last year was because we are considered an essential food source. So part of that is that you can get to that market on all manners of public transportation. So it is convenient, and if you drive, parking is free, and nowhere else in downtown can you get free parking. So this is an opportunity to experience what that's like. So Saratoga and Holiday Streets under the JFX, Sundays from 7 to noon.
Perfect, thank you. Sal and Ron, I have one for you both, and it's really around what does a socially distant event look like in your venues? So Sal, if you could go first, and then I'll come over to you, Ron.
Right. Certainly, where we may have had stand-up tables, predominantly stand-up tables that would have 4 people. Now we'll have 3 people, maybe 2 people. We have included many more for sit-down situations. We have added many more picnic tables, and again, spread them out throughout our covered alley. That's what that looks like right now.
Okay, sounds good. Ron?
So for us, we've calculated we can do about 450 people socially distant in the Hippodrome. Interesting, Ticketmaster created some new technology called pods, and they can actually sit up to 10 people who are known to each other in these pods and keep everybody socially distant inside the theater during the performance. And then outside, we have about 300,000 square feet. So we have a whole city block underneath those roof structures that we can keep people distant, and plenty of bathrooms in those areas. So we're looking forward to trying to see what we can do with that. But, Broadway just would not be able to operate. We don't even break even with a Broadway show till we're about 85% sold, which would go way beyond that capacity. So we're, but we're looking at testing all that stuff in the early fall and trying to make it work for us.
Thank you so much. Councilman, I see you're in the loop. I have another one for you. And this one may be in the form of an update if you have it at this point. I know we have our meeting with the health commissioner next week, but it said, what do you know about the city issuing permits for any neighborhood festivals like the Pigtown Festival?
Thanks for the question, Frida. It's a great question. Right now, there's no updates, but as Shalonda mentioned, her and I meet bi-weekly with the health commissioner to discuss issues that impact the business community. This is certainly going to be something that is on our agenda to discuss, to see if there's any updates. And hopefully we'll get to a place where the city will start accepting applications for special events. So many of these great events, like Frida mentioned, around Pigtown Main Street, Federal Hill Main Street, in Mount Vernon, all throughout the area, in and around downtown, that are really community-centric events that we rely on, that are just great community, family-friendly events. So we want to see those pick back up as soon as humanly possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman. Bopa, Donna, you got a shout out. Bopa's team is remarkable. That was from one of your team members. No, I'm just kidding. But they say remarkable, and I'm sure the pivot will be seamless. One of your board members, Anna Kambon, I think if I'm saying that correct.
Anna Kambon, yeah.
So shout out there. You have another question though, and it says, since Artscape is postponed to 2022, are you all looking to partner with smaller festivals? And if so, how can they get that process started?
Well, we're always eager to amplify any art, anything in the city of Baltimore. We have, things that we are still doing. We're working with individual artists. We just finished an art show with the city and the Department of Housing. So there are small things that we're doing. So we're not committing to any large partnerships, but we are always ready to amplify any work that anybody else is doing. And before I forget, I wanted to give a shout out to our film office, who has kept film alive, film production alive in the city of Baltimore throughout the whole pandemic. And they've been doing it, just like Ron mentioned, by creating bubbles or pods so that people can work. And just in the month of April, we've had $732,000 economic impact just from the film office. So there's a lot of stuff happening. We're giving Thrive grants to artists and organizations. Creative Baltimore Fund will soon be getting distributed. As soon as the budget's done, we'll find out what that is and get the money out to different arts organizations. So there's opportunity to partner financially, spiritually, and in person.
I love it. And are there any thoughts? This is probably the last. I know we have a couple questions, and I saw it. Thank you. If we didn't get your question in, we'll try to respond to you, and you can send your question to info@dpob.org in the event that we did not. But Donna, they're asking about projections on buildings and doing some different things. Are you all looking at that as well?
Absolutely. That's one of the ways to be together and experience art. Another way, look at my background, it's a mural. We have murals throughout the city. That's another way to experience art together. So we're doing Art at Work again this year, where a group of young people will paint a mural for the city. We will do whatever we can to get people out and about and doing art. And projections may be one of those ways. Murals another way. Music could be a way. There's all kinds of things, and absolutely go eat at a restaurant on Charles Street when Charles Street Promenade happened.
Thank you. May 22nd. Thanks for the shout out. Thank you all, Councilman. I'm gonna come back to you just to say some final thank yous as well, and then we'll close it out.
Shalonda, thank you so much. Just want to give a shout out to the team at Downtown Partnership, Mike, Lauren, Nicole. This wouldn't be possible without all the hard work they put in behind the scenes. And Donna, thank you so much to your team at BOPA for everything you do for our city, and Ron and Sal, tremendous institutions in our city. So just grateful to have all of you at the table helping us move the city forward. Thanks, Shalonda.
Thank you so much. So with that, we'll start to close it out. Thank you. You're right. You shouted out my team. I definitely want to shout out my board. I Saw several members, my board chair, Mark Wasserman. I saw Mark Pollock and Terry Harrington. Of course, Michelle is on there and others. Thank you all for your continuous support. This team, this board, we could not do it without you. As I said, it's collaboration, it's communication all throughout. So please, this webinar will be available on our website at godowntownbaltimore.com. I ask that you check it out. This one, along with some of the others that you may have missed, please stay tuned and visit us at godowntownbaltimore.com. Thank you all and have an amazing, amazing rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.